Well, my name is Ala. Father's name is Ala Ahmed Abdul Hamid, and I used to work most of the time for the past 17 years as a cab driver, private hire cab driver. However, since the COVID came about, I haven't done any serious work. I'm doing some voluntary work in a residential building where I live. Therefore, it keeps me busy, and I've got lots to do. So most of the time, my days are fulfilled, really. So it's 1983, and we are in 2023. So I would say about 41 years. Yeah, 41. Yeah. Quite a long time. So why did I move here? It wasn't my choice. It was made by my parents. The most obvious reason would be that was the Iraq-Iran war, and they did not want one of their sons to be going out to war, so they took me, which I was the middle son, they took me out of Iraq and put me here. And yeah, that was the reason. Not that I had anything to do with it. It wasn't my choice. I just thought that you gotta leave, that's it. Go with your mom to the UK. She stayed with me 1 year and went back. Oh, my father was not allowed to leave, no. No, he was not allowed to leave. My older brother was not allowed to leave. My younger brother was allowed to leave, but he went back with mom when she went back. The war, they needed to keep the breadwinner of the family back in Iraq so they can actually have access. So they allowed his family to leave, but they would not allow him to leave because obviously he's in charge of he was the breadwinner, so he's in charge of the economy of the family. Therefore, they did not want people who has relatively good income or good source of resources to stay in the country rather than leave. So yeah, that's the reason they wanted him. Plus, he used to be, in his younger days, when I was born, when I was 1 year old, he used to belong to a communist party, which is the opposite what Saddam Hussein and they were. Right. So because of that, they did not want these people to leave. Yeah. So they can keep an eye on him in Iraq rather than I. So father passed in 1995 in this country when he was ill with cancer, and then my mother passed away just over a year after him, and then a few years later my older brother also got shot in the head. So there's only me and my brother and my two sisters. That was in 2003 upon the invasion, the US and UK invasion of Iraq. 6 months later, they just found him on the side of the road with 2 shots in the head. Some people say it's money dispute. Some people say it's new intelligence identify him as a person of interest. Some people say is these new factions that came in with the US invasion. I don't know. It's still unknown. Nobody has come forward and claimed, is showing. But I believe it's a money dispute. Nothing to do with the invasion or nothing being an insurgent or anything of sorts, no. Yeah, it's a failed state, basically. Anyone who's identified to be having any sort of connection with the previous regime is a marked person. Then, from being a marked person, if you belong to a large family, then whoever's got to take action against you, they know that family will take action against them. And also your reputation. Even though you were with the work and with the previous government, if you are a good person and you've actually helped all, then you're cool. You're pretty much safe. Yeah, I've been a couple of times. Yeah, I'm gonna have to be very honest with you here because there's no way for me to lie about it. All that you see now, whoever ruled in Iraq, I call it the U.S. ambassador. That's where the directive comes from, really, more than anything else. I mean, yeah, the UK has a large say to say, what goes inside Iraq, but this particular government in Iraq is just an extension of what the US did. I've gone through stages, like, when I came out as a young boy, just out there to have fun. So I did not really give too much attention to studies or that. And so I neglected studies, I did not really want to. And I did not have the wisdom of an older person to direct me. So I just, But as it goes along, as the years goes by, and the first experience of that, it was 1991, the first Gulf War with Kuwait. That was a shock to me. I'm in a friendly country such as the UK. You can go and work or study and, live a comfortable life, or, whatever you want to do. If you want to, further studies, yeah, you can further. But the first shock was to me 1991. All of a sudden, I'm in a country that is at war with my country. So what do I do? Yeah. What do I do? Luckily, luckily my late father was here in this country at that time, in the last few years of his life. And he suggested that it's best now that you stay here. And, right. With that being said, being inexperienced in such a situation where sometimes I could be conversing with an English person, or I can be conversing with another Iraqi person, or all sorts of life, I would express my feelings and my emotions rather than suppress them. So I was quite honest. I'm saying, no, the war in Iraq is unjust. Is this, that, is disproportional. The action was disproportional. You know what I mean? As you would love a place you were born to, which is a natural process, you know, when a person actually loves the place. I mean, any kids now who's born in the UK, they love the UK. They love the UK. So I was no different from any other person on this planet. So yeah, my love for Iraq at that time. So with that being said, expressing these emotions has created resentment from society, unknown to myself. And with that, with these kind of resentment, there's a consequences, such as marginalization or racism. Now it's more in your face because you are, you know, I am seen and considered to be an enemy, even though the establishment is quite confident of, you know, how they deal with people like myself. I was not given enough time to actually learn the language in order to do the GCSEs or the A-levels, you know. It was a struggle for me because I did find going to school in this country a bit of a struggle because of the language barrier that I had at that time. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was lucky. It was lovely. It was really nice. Yeah, it was different from what I had grown to like in Iraq or rather. Yeah. I did not feel homesick. The only time I felt really homesick is 1992, 10 years after I've been here. That's when I thought, you know what, I really miss home now. That was because that was now, at 92, the previous regime was still in Iraq, right? Yeah. And it was final now. I'm in the UK, I'm not gonna go back. That's it, I'm like now considered to be a political refugee or what have you, or, you know, a humane refugee or, you know. So once you get to be fitted into that category, you think, I'm not going back to Iraq, that's it. There was another aspect to this, which I never really, you know, right until 1991, 92, and even leading up to 95 or even 96, I never felt the need to become a British citizen, you know, as such, because I thought, I don't know, I don't want to travel the world. I'm quite happy living here. But most of the Iraqi people with me, haven't you got your British passport yet? I said, no. Why? It's like as if I've done something wrong, or as if I am missing out on something. And I never really realized what the fuss is all about. And I'm quite happy living in London, going to Manchester for a trip, or going to, going to Spain or other part of the world, or having the freedom of movement. It didn't really seem that important to me. So yeah, but when conversing with other people in the same sort of categories I am, or the same guy, or gone through the same experiences, it's like when you tell them, no, I haven't got my British citizen yet. What? It's like they are surprised, as if I am missing out on something. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with you, man? It's like, what's wrong with you? Why is this? Yeah, but it's good. I said, it's good for what? You could travel. I said, well, I don't need to travel. I've got everything here. So anyway, so that was it. But coming up to 95, 96, that's when I started thinking about it. Maybe I should do it now. And that's when I applied for it. Yeah, I felt good. I felt like now I am, not only that it felt good, but it put me under certain obligation to change my behavior. I felt that this is it, my country now, and I dramatically changed my way of thinking. I was by myself, so I had no parents telling me what to do, how to do things. So it was all about fun, and more fun. But when I was 18, I thought, wait a minute, I'm not getting funds from back home because my father was out there, and my father's investment was being managed by somebody else who's around this area, and he was basically not giving me what my father's investment was making. So he was a crook. was stealing the money. So I had to go and work as a labourer. So yeah, that was fun, working as a labourer and becoming a decorator, and then becoming a good decorator, and then becoming a decorator contractor. That was brilliant, that was fun. I used to enjoy that. Uber was a game changer. It's not so much just Uber, it's the regulation that came in. I mean, look, if the government decides to regulate this industry, I'm fine with it. I was always fine with it. If they say that you need to get a certain type of insurance, a commercial insurance, fine, I'll get a commercial insurance. You need to have your car serviced or MOT twice a year, fine, I'm okay with that. You need to register with Transport for London, you know, private hire, you know, fine, I can register with them. You need to get their license or permit to work, I'm fine with that. In fact, this was very, very funny because I used to work in this cab office in the West End, and there must have been about over 20 drivers in that cab office. And there was only 2 of us who had all their papers legit. Only 2 drivers out of over 20, legit paper, insurance, car registration, everything was fine, right? In the beginning, yes, I enjoyed it. But the last couple of years, since Uber came in, and I had to join Uber because there was no market left. Uber and every other app just basically, and you know, rightly so, you know, because a lot of people, they think Uber is cheap, that's where it came up, right? But, and then again, when Uber started to get the chunk of the market, the reason I enjoyed it because Uber was a direct threat to black cabs. Black cabs don't like Uber. They hate them because they think they've got the knowledge. But unfortunately for the black cabs, technology has surpassed. Now you can have all of that knowledge in a small little garage, Google Map, put it there, and it tells you where you want to go. Just tip in everything. It tells you everything, you know. And Uber just didn't like that. I mean, the black cabs just did not like that. I remember, like in the early 2000s, I used to, you know, a lot of black cabs, they would see me as a private hire, and they would stop next to me, and they would mock me. They would say, "Oh, have you got your visa in this country?" I said, "I've got Visa card, yes, thank you, and MasterCard." Or some black cab drivers will say to my customers, "Oh, does your driver knows what he's doing?" "Oh, yes, he does." And then the same, huh? Black cab drivers. Yeah, they will stop next to you in a traffic light, and they will start mocking you, or very convenient. It's not, by the way, it's not just Uber now. There's many other cab apps that actually do the same thing. So now Uber's got competition. And then the government came down, and there was a court case with Uber, and the government came down and says, right, Uber is an app, but it's a company. So that means anyone who works for Uber is entitled to minimum pay, holiday pay, sick pay, and insurance. Yeah, it's not self-employed. When I started with Uber, it was self-employed, but that's no longer the case. Who do you think should not come to the UK? That's a profoundly important question. My advice to those who want to come to the UK, if you have any grievances towards the British Empire, what are they stand for now, or what they've been 400-500 years ago, don't come. Anyone who has a criminal intention, don't come. Those who come here, you need to learn the English language as quickly as possible. Don't spend time working in backstreet shops and restaurants and what have you just for you to earn the money. No, that's not good enough. I actually sometimes, when I see people working in shops not being able to speak English, I would actually buy them a book so they can learn English. I'm constantly learning something new every day. I've improved on my language dramatically for the past 4 or 5 years. When I mean dramatically. Not just articulation and speaking, no. I'm actually writing and writing and now I'm coming closer. I'm like sort of A-level English now, sort of, you know, which is not a bad place to be when it comes to the English language. However, there is much room for improvement. So now I believe every day that I must learn at least 5 to 10 terms a day. Even if I'm not able to retain the information I'm reading, but at least you read them, you familiarize with them, and by time you'll be able to write. So you should not come here if you have any sort of different mindsets, because most people who come here will compare life to what is there, and they want to live that kind of life over here with the same mindset. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. If you want to come here, the only way you can learn is to think like an English person does. That's the honesty. You cannot learn. Obviously, I cannot deny an English person their love for their country. I can't, But at least if I acknowledge it and if I respect it, that makes my life easier as a foreigner, a lot easier here. Because at the end of the day, you can't take that away from English people. They need to protect their, okay, they have a large ethnicity of people from other ethnicities that come to this country, and they must protect their own. I agree with that, totally agree with that. Look, there's two things most people around the world overlook or take for granted. One of which is security. The security in this country is almost second to none. Second to none. I really do feel like, the security agencies, all 10 of them or 12 of them, or I don't know how many of them in this country, whether it's the police, the intelligence services, National Crime Agency, and all of that, I think they're doing a very good job. I think they're doing a great job. Look, we can pick up a car now and drive all the way from Brighton all the way to Scotland, and we're not under threat, right? Honestly, we can drive a car now from Brighton to the northeast part of Scotland. We will not, well, as long as you keep the national speed limit, don't take the piss out of it, as long as and you do not commit any crime, you'll not get stopped. You can't do that, in some parts of the world, you just can't do that, especially at night time. So, that's, a lot of people are not aware of that, blessing. The other blessing is the safety net of, health. All right, a lot of people complain about the national health this, national health that, but at the end of the day, it is a safety net that is not available in most countries. So yeah, safety and security is one of the two biggest blessings in this country that I would miss the most, security and blessing. And security and health, health services. So I don't know whether if there's another country that's gonna give me this or not, I don't know, but I have to go there and try or find out. Do I love London? I would say 80% yes and 20% no. 20% is because I'm not moving as forward as fast as possible, and sometimes I feel I'm limited. Sometimes I come across marginalization, a bit of racism, and it upsets me, and it does take time off me, But as a wise man, as an old wise man, I can overcome that easy. 80%, yes, I love it, because you can express your love, you can express yourself here whichever way you can. As long as you're not harming people, that's the main thing. As long as you don't walk about the street not harming people, you'll be offered this security, which I really love. I really love this security aspect about London. I don't feel threatened walking down the street. And even if I'm threatened, I'm not easily threatened. I can deal with it. I'm not saying I'm the same young man I used to be when I was 30, No, I'm not that man. But I think I still have the wits about me to get out of situations or not put myself in a situation. And with that being said, yes, I would 80%, this is the 80% that I love, I can be whoever I want, As long as, I do my things in my own house without being on the outside, I don't need to declare it, And I'm allowed to do that, I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to be the person I am, as a Middle Eastern Muslim person. Yes, fine. You want to practice your religion? Fine. Even though I don't go to mosque, I just, behind closed doors, I'm okay with that. You want to go to work? Fine, go to work. So yeah, there is an element of freedom that you could not find somewhere else in the world. And that's the thing I love about them.